Awesome. So let's move on to specialized knowledge, the most powerful way to focus on your education, focus on your growth, and create the maximum output in your current position with the least amount of time invested in upfront education. Super cool stuff. Let's get over to the computer. So we've got two kinds of knowledge, right? You got general knowledge and you have specialized knowledge. Okay, now general knowledge, no matter how great, specialized, no matter how great this general knowledge is, one of the problem with it is it's of little use in the accumulation of money. So we're going to put a little sad face there because it doesn't make you a lot of money. Now the opposite is true with specialized knowledge. That one makes you a lot of money. That's a happy face. See, the thing is, universities, they're awesome. They're going to give you a ton of general knowledge. It's important to be able to filter down and focus on that specialized knowledge so you can create an application in a field that is very closely connected to your overarching long-term goal. These people specialize in teaching knowledge, but they don't specialize in organization or use of knowledge, right? So with teachers, right, they'll teach it really well, but they won't really show you how to use it really well. And here's something that's really important, right? Because knowledge is not power. It goes knowledge to application to expertise. So with this sequence, right, knowledge would be maybe you read a book, right? And that's awesome, right? Reading books, really cool. But you read a book, you learn something, what's that really going to produce in the marketplace? What are the tangible results? The answer here is pretty much nothing happens, right? It's just in your head. It's only in your head. It's just in your head. So what do you do next? You apply it, right? So after you read a book, say you read 9 to Noon, right? You go read that book, then you start investing. Right? So you go 9 to Noon. Then you go start investing. Now you have an actual application. This is something that's going to start to make you money. This is something where you're going to start to have results in the marketplace. This counts as an awesome thing. And so what happens after you start investing? Well, after you start investing, over time, right, there's time that occurs here. You start to master the knowledge. You start to master the application. You start to master what you're doing because you grow and grow, right? So years and years ago, I was doing a whole bunch of research trying to learn the knowledge about the stock market. I didn't really have, a book to base my education off of or someone to teach me. And so I had to work for a very long time with no results, no payment from the marketplace, no cash to learn the knowledge of stocks. And then I went and I applied that to trading for years and years. And after I traded for years and years, I collected a tremendous amount of time. I collected a tremendous amount of experience, expertise, because of the actual application, right? You learn so much more when you apply, but you have to have this baseline knowledge before you start. That's just kind of how it works. And so that's why it's a process, right? And then you get to this area of expertise where now you're very good at investing. Or whatever, replace investing, replace stocks, replace any of these nouns with whatever you're passionate about, whatever relates to your long-term goal, whatever you're learning about, whatever you have passion to apply and create results in the marketplace to go towards achieving your secret formula goal. Just replace all these words with whatever words apply to you. If these words don't apply to you, totally cool. But please invest, okay? Okay, very good at investing. And so this is sort of the 3-step process, right? So in step 1, with knowledge, you're really going into this general area. Even if you're reading, 9 to Noon, right? Like 9 to Noon has a lot of general knowledge in it because they're there's a lot of aspects in the investing space that you can apply specialized knowledge to. Chapter 36 alone can make an entire career, but at the same time, and that's a chapter on stock screeners and finding 9 to Noon stocks, but at the same time, just the chapter before, chapter 35, is that could be your entire basis for creating a long-term portfolio with minimal management. So there are different ways to find that specialized knowledge. And then what you do is you apply that specialized knowledge in chapter 2. So in chapter 2, you filter out and you find that top 10%, that top 20% of information, right? The 20-80 rule. You want to get the top 20% that's going to produce the 80% of results for you. Find that top 20% information and then start to use it to create results. Start to apply it, start to grow. And now you're going to see the 4 steps to riches, personal experiences, are going to turn into your future growth. Once you start applying, once you start doing it, you move on to this magical area in step 3. And this is where you really, really want to be. And this is why it's tough, because this takes time. But once you get to step 3, once you've actually done it, once you've taken action, you start to grow in experience, you start to grow expertise. And now your results, before maybe your results were trending up. Because at the beginning they were just flat because you obviously didn't have any application. But then they start to trend up. And then once you start to get really, really good, it just goes up and up and up and up. And that's sort of like the power of, compounding with your money, right? Like that's sort of a similar aspect, right? You have very, very little money here, but you start to grow, and then you get the majority of your cash in this end section right here. Super, super powerful concept. That's basically the third, I think it's the 4th chapter of the book, is where we talk about the power of compounding. And you have that happen in financial markets and in your asset portfolios. And at the same time, aside from building your financial future through true wealth with assets, that same thing will happen in your education curve, your learning curve, your growth curve. At the beginning, you're just reading a book. You're not going to have any tangible results, but then you start to apply it. You start to have these tangible results. And then you get to this area of expertise. That's when you're going to have this maximum result, these amazing, amazing, amazing applications of specialized knowledge to create a bunch of bank. Because generalized knowledge, this stuff is not worth crap. So, there you go. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to a definite end of accumulation of money. So for this, right, application, your definite end is the accumulation of money. And that's going to give you the experience, because lack of understanding of this fact is the source of confusion to millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. It is only potential power. And as Hill says right here, it becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. And your definite end, it's this expertise area right here where you finally have total control over your entire portfolio, or in any aspect of what you're doing. You've reached this point where you have accomplished so much. You're above 99% of people. And that's when you crush it. That's when you can create tremendous results. So, yeah. That's why I wrote the book. Yeah, it's really cool. Hill says the missing link in all systems of education known to civilization today is found in the failure of educational institutions to teach their students how to organize and use knowledge after they acquire it. So organize and use. Remember, right, you're going to go through, I'm going through a ton of school right now, and you always continue to learn. There's a ton of information out there, and you have to know how to condense it and how to filter it down. Like, put on your glasses, your secret formula glasses, and think, how can I apply everything I'm learning to achieving my overarching long-term goal? You might go through a lot of training, right? It might kind of be like a funnel effect. So you would have, say, out here, maybe it's like you're reading books, podcasts, maybe online lectures. And then you're thinking, okay, well, how can I apply all of this to get to my overarching long-term goal? And so from this, you might have, maybe a very small percentage of this actually goes into this second column, right? So this would be like information, right? And you're going from information to condensing it, right? So you want to condense to specialized knowledge. This is like general information. So as you condense it to specialized knowledge, you might be able to take out overarching principles. Maybe something like a past success. These are more specific, right? So more specific. And then after you get that done, you can go down again, right? So maybe you say after that, you want to actually go and create a plan of action. So this would be like your action level. So on your action level, you look at the plans and actions taken by others. Okay, and you're creating this funnel, right? So that when you get to the end, you're gonna have the most applicable goals to get to your overarching long-term goal. So after that, you figure out what other people are doing. So this would be like others' actions. And then this is your action. So you take out, is all this information up here, and instead of right, you have to condense, right? You have to apply only the things that matter to you, right? 80-20 principle. You don't want to work on the 80% that doesn't matter. You only want to focus on that 20% that's going to have the massive impact you want in your life. So your action, you decide your plan of action. And then you go and you freaking do it. Okay, you do it. And after you do it, you get to this level here where you're taking in experience. And this is experience here. You remember when you're doing this, right? This is you. But you remember, maybe you read something in like 10 books, right? Maybe you read like 10 books. Which is awesome, right? You're above 99% of people in the whole world if you can read freaking 10 books. That's amazing. Say there's these books that you read, but one of them, that didn't really work out too well. Maybe this didn't work out. Maybe you got like one or two things from this book, one or two. Maybe you got just one thing from this book, one thing from this book, and then this book right here maybe got you like 10 things to do. And so you're taking this experience and you're leveraging all of the stuff that you've sifted out over time. So you sifted out principles, you sifted out actions, and you sifted into this overarching plan based on other people. So it's like this knowledge funnel where at the beginning there's a ton of information, and at the end there's a very small amount of information. And that information that's at the bottom is the most applicable to create the best results in the marketplace. So you apply it, you apply, okay? And then you have experience, and then you get to this last stage right as you would start to work and achieve your overarching long-term goal, and that's expertise. And then you can become very good at one little part of this whole thing. And then you can teach that to people, or you can just leverage that in your career and the work that you do to have a very specialized industry, and use that very specialized industry to create a career for yourself and go out there and crush it, like some of the examples we're going to look at in just a minute. So with that said, I want to move on to more stuff Hill talks about. I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff. I'm going to leave this funnel up because this funnel is going to really be a massive part of application that we're going to see in just a couple of the examples coming up very soon. And it's cool, right? Because now, once you get to this end point, you're really much better able to work towards, whatever it is that the results that you want to create. Because when you're known for one very specific specialty in the marketplace, all of a sudden you become much more valuable than somebody who's a generalizer, who just works on general things. Like if you look at hospitals as an example, like the surgeons are going to make a lot more than general practitioners. And similarly, if you're, say, a heart surgeon focusing on cancer removal from the left kidney, you're going to make a lot of more money than somebody who's just a general, open heart surgery or something. If you can have this very, very specific expertise, all of a sudden, people are going to flock to you as the go-to person, right? Like, who would you rather have operate on you if your arm is broken? Would you rather have a general bone reconstruction surgeon operate on you? Or would you rather have the world's #1 left arm femur or left arm ligament reconstructant personnel surgeon in the whole world? Like, it's just, there's no separation, and there's just this massive distinction between general and specific. And what's going to happen is this guy over here is going to have to go, and he's going to have to work on, so say this is like, say we're sticking with the hospital example, right? He's going to have to deal with people's arms. He's going to have to deal with people's legs. He's going to have to deal with people's ears. He's going to have to do all of people's stomachs. He's got to learn all this stuff. That's a freaking lot of stuff. Whereas if you just focus on left arm surgery, right, and this is obviously an example, right, but like, all of a sudden you have to learn one thing. You have to have expertise in one thing. And you can become so ridiculously good at that the value you deliver here is worth so much more. You deliver so much more value because you're so good at it, instead of just delivering a small amount of value for a diverse group of things. You focus on maybe one or two very, very specific high application things that you get very good at through expertise, through experience, as you apply this plan of action based on all this information in the marketplace. Because most other people, they're at this first level. This is where most people are. They're right here. They're at this top point. Maybe they went to school, right? This is where school would come in. And then they just said, hey, look, I'm just going to do everything because I learned everything in school, and they didn't teach us any way to actually distill down the knowledge and organize it to the highest and best use possible for my personal application to get towards my overarching long-term goal. And the biggest thing and the biggest reason that most people never actually go through this funnel is because they don't have this overarching long-term goal, which is what you created with the secret formula. So please, please, please make sure you're ridiculously confident. And hopefully if you're this far into this course, you're actually applying that secret formula, which is just awesome. That's cool. That's change your life. That's amazing. So the really important part is to develop this overarching long-term goal first, so that you know what to funnel into yourself and you know how to grow yourself over time, so that you're doing the right things and you're not just focusing on this basic crap right here, but you're actually developing a long-term course of action to develop expertise and become this very, very specific guy, right? You want to become the very, very niche surgeon, not the general practitioner. And that's going to create tremendously higher levels of success, wealth, and fulfillment in your life, because now you're able to do something that most people are unable to do, right? You have this very, very specialized niche that creates a much larger impact for the clients and the people or whoever it is that you serve in the marketplace. And because of that, you create this insane ability to have an impact that's 10 times bigger, right? Like the guy who only does left arm surgery has a 10 times bigger impact than the guy who's just doing like every single thing that walks through the door. And because of that, you're going to be remembered better, you're going to be known better, and you're going to have an insanely stronger reputation that's going to allow you to leverage this expertise that you have to create a lot more cash than if you just were leveraging maybe overarching principles or these items higher up in the education ladder based on more generalizations. Very, very powerful content. So, now that we've got that out of the way, you've gotten to understand that, you guys are getting it down, which is awesome. Let's start to look more at what Hill says. So, he talks a whole lot about schooling and education and actually what it means to be educated, to develop from within, and how people make mistakes focusing so much on school, which sucks. And for a lot of people you need it, for a lot of people you don't. It just depends. The one thing I don't want you to do is go into college or go into any kind of higher education without this overarching long-term goal, which we developed in the secret formula. Because what I see so many people do is they'll go and they'll say, they don't know what they want to do. And look, people in the marketplace don't want to pay somebody who doesn't know what they want to do. You don't want to hire somebody who doesn't know what they want to do. Hill talks about it here. There's a massive, massive, massive pay gap between specialized engineering fields, specialized mathematical fields, specialized science fields, specialized any kind of specialized. I call it like very, very, very specialized fields. Specialized fields, specialized degrees. They get paid a ton of money. These are the people that the job recruiters want over, liberal arts. This is going to be paid a lot less money because it's very, 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 very general. And so because of that, this lack of an ability to make the decision of what you want to specialize in turns into a much lower value proposition in most circumstances of the marketplace, where you're unable to actually create more value both to the marketplace directly or to an employer. It just depends on whatever you want to do, because they're directly related, right? Like if you can't bring value to an employer, you can't bring value to a marketplace. You just have to have that way to create very specialized knowledge and use it in very specialized application, rather than this just general application is going to create much less income for you. So yeah, so Hill focuses on that. He focuses on how Henry Ford and all these massive titans of industry actually didn't have much primary education. So Ford, for example, he went through tons of work to develop, his car manufacturing, which is super important. But at the same time, he didn't really have as much traditional education. I think it says here, he had like a couple of months of high school, and then he dropped out of high school. And because of that, he started to focus more on his very, very specialized education rather than his just general education in high school, right? And please, guys, I'm not saying drop out of high school, but just take all these stories and understand them, because this is some very, very powerful mindset shifting content. I want you to understand the overarching principles here. I want you, right? We're right here, right? Overarching principles behind what Ford did and what a lot of these other people did. And you can take these principles and understand the plans and the actions that these titans of industries have had, and then see if it'll affect your plan of action. So that's where we're at right now with this information. That's what I'm sharing with you right now. So Ford dropped out of high school, right? And he focused all of his efforts on creating this car manufacturing system, right? And so because of that, he surrounded himself with people that were educated and developed in that industry with very, very, very specialized knowledge, because that was his focus, right? And so what happened is he had this insane success. He was making cars left and right, which is awesome. And this newspaper came, and this newspaper, they said, Ford is an idiot, basically, is what they told him. And so Ford basically sues these guys for libeling and says, dude, what the heck? You can't call me an idiot. That made me sad. And so they go to court, and in court, they start to ask Ford a bunch of these questions. Because remember, this guy basically went to no high school. He just didn't have that education. So he's in court, and this is Ford, and he's happy guy, like, hey, I am Ford. I am Ford. And there's this lawyer, this attorney, and he's standing here, and he's asking him all these questions, because in front of this jury, right? So there's a jury over here, and the point of this jury is to decide whether or not Ford is really an idiot or not, because that was basically what this case was. And so Ford's on the witness stand to prove that he's not an idiot, and this guy asked Ford a bunch of questions, and some of the examples that Hill includes here, these are all generalized knowledge questions, right? It's kind of like trivia. Please, guys, if you want to accumulate massive amounts of wealth in your life, I'm looking at you. This is the one thing you can take from this if you don't get anything else. Do not focus on learning trivia. It doesn't freaking matter, all right? Focus on what matters. Focus on this specialized knowledge. Don't try to be the world's best trivia player, because you're not going to to create results in the marketplace, the best you can do is what? Get on Jeopardy? Like, that's not going to happen. Generalized knowledge is not of highest and best value. So he gets on the stand, and this story will actually kind of explain why that is. And this guy, he asks him questions like, who was Benedict Arnold? Guys, I don't freaking know. And then he asks him, how many soldiers did the British send over to America to put down the rebellion of 1776? And this guy's like, dude, are you freaking serious? In response to the last question, Ford says, I do not know the exact number of soldiers the British sent over, because who the freak would? It doesn't matter. But I have heard that it was a considerably larger number than ever went back. So he's just trying to show that he's not an idiot, because he's not an idiot. This man is making tons and tons of money. His net worth is probably greater than every single person in that courtroom combined, because he took advantage of specialized knowledge. And he used that, oops, I erased the courtroom, specialized. And he used that to create results, right? He was making like 100,000 cars, like tons and tons and tons of cars. And all of these cars, like, these are worth cash money in the marketplace. And so that's how he applied this knowledge to create tremendous results. Now, those cars are not based on the history of, British attacks on America. And so Ford, he got pretty tired of all these dumb questions. And in response to a particularly offensive question, he leaned over, pointed his finger at the lawyer who asked the question, and said, if I should really want to answer the foolish question you've just asked, or any of the other questions you've asked me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid people who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now will you kindly tell me why I should clutter up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions when I have people around me who can supply any knowledge I require? Bam, right? It's all about this focus, and this is a principle we're going to develop so much more later in this book through the mastermind. Here he talks about everyone in the courtroom was floored because they realized that this guy is so freaking educated, even though he basically dropped out of high school. And he did, right? And it was all based on the assistance of this mastermind group, which we're going to develop more and more and more throughout this story. But it was so powerful because now, instead of just being Ford, it was actually Ford with all of his very, very special buttons. And these buttons all went to Ford's group of people that could help him. So he had all these very, very smart people in very, very specific applications, right? So this guy would know one thing, and this guy would know one thing, and this guy would know one thing, and this guy would know one thing. These guys all had specific information in their repertoire of application. And so with that, they were all able to come together and they could work as a team, and 1 + 1 is 5, or 1 + 1 is 3, 1 + 1 + 1 is 5. As you grow and grow and grow and grow, right? I'm gonna write this over here because this is really important. 1 + 1 is 3, 1 + 1 + 1 is 5. These are huge concepts of the mastermind, because once you start to add people together, it just grows exponentially the amount of knowledge and information and results that you can produce as a collective group working towards an overarching goal. And we're going to get into this so much more later, but this is an awesome introduction to it, because Ford's mastermind was the underlying principle, the basis of everything he was able to do. It all came from his ability to collect these guys together and say, hey, look, you've got to focus on your thing and be so ridiculously good at your thing that you can apply it in any situation to create the best result possible, and then work with other people that are very, very good at their thing to create, he created this massive industry producing cars, right? So this would be like cars, yay. And that all came from this specialized knowledge. Super powerful. Allowed him to be one of the wealthiest men in America, yeah, 100%. Because it didn't matter that he had general knowledge, right? The people who are going out into the marketplace, you go to a car dealership, you're not going to ask, hey, did Henry Ford know the third president or the third president of Afghanistan or Russia or stuff like that? just doesn't care. Knowing it just doesn't matter when you're creating tangible results in the marketplace. I don't know how many times I've said that, guys. I haven't written it down because I want you guys to just hear it, but like tangible results in the marketplace just create so ridiculously much value with the information and the prospectus you give to people that they can't help but try to pay you money. Before you can be sure of your ability to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, you will require specialized knowledge of the service, merchandise, or profession you intend to offer in return for fortune. Perhaps you may require much more specialized knowledge than you have the ability or the inclination to acquire. And if that's true, you can create this mastermind of people, right? So if you don't want to go out, it kind of depends, right? Like what your goals are and what you want to do. So if you're focusing on creating this really, really large entity, you probably need to work with a lot of people that are very, very good at what they do, and you can use them as people to go work together to create this group dynamic, this amazing group teamwork. And once you have that down, what you can do is just have everyone work on creating this one organization, this one overarching valuable entity in the marketplace. And once you have that, all of a sudden you start to go out there and crush it, because you're able to focus on specialization and come together as a team to apply it. It's a very, very powerful concept. And it's something that is honestly the basis of so much stuff that just doesn't get focused on because people are so worried. And right, this is a big thing you guys gotta get over if you're gonna start to accomplish your overarching long-term goal. And this is like a mindset paradigm shift. And I really want you guys to focus on this. All right. If you've got you right here, right? Like this is you, and you've got like this big list of things to do, okay? This is the first thing, the second thing, the third thing, the fourth thing, the fifth thing. What a lot of people do when they start off, maybe they're employed, or maybe they're self-employed, and this comes down to some of the more overarching trainings that are in the general membership area about like the cash flow quadrant and obviously that book. I guess I'll link that book review below. It should be over in the general membership area too. That's a very powerful mindset shift, right? So like mindset, because mindset is so important when you look at education, especially in the education and the application of specialized knowledge, which is going to turn into that cash that you want. You got to make sure that you're using that mindset in the right way, and that's why your cash flow quadrant is so important. Like we talked about over there, but also here, right? Like check out that book review video below, and it'll show you how to move from this mindset that we're talking about here into what we're right about to get into, where you actually have, like the business owner / investor mindset. So over here, right, employed / self-employed, you have this big list of things to do, and you just one at a time, you do all of them. Where in reality, probably the better thing for rich you to do is take your list of things and maybe you have 1, 2, 3, 5 things. Yeah, right, 5 things. And then you say, hey, look, what is the one thing that I could do here that by doing this one thing, all these other things would be unnecessary? And if you can do that, all of a sudden, right, 80-20 rule, you're focusing on only the stuff that matters and you're getting rid of the crap that doesn't. And by doing that, you free up your time and you free up your efforts and you free up your knowledge to only focus on the thing that you're specialized, right? That you're very good at. And maybe you can't necessarily X out 1 and 2. Maybe you give those off. And this is where a lot of people have struggles, is they assign these to teammates. They assign these to other people. You have to have trust. I'm going to write this in green because it's really important. You need to trust other people to do the work that isn't your area of expertise, right? So if you're only focusing on this one little sphere here, right? And then this is like the ABCDs, the ABCD Breakthrough Principle by Dan Sullivan, right? This is your area of expertise and this is what you work on. All this crap out here, this is maybe stuff that you could do, but because in your area of expertise, right, this is the stuff right here that you love to do. This stuff makes you happy, okay? That's where you get the best results and you crush it, right? But out here, this is the stuff that you could do, but it's not really your favorite thing. You need to give that to other people. Same thing. This is the stuff out here that you just don't like to do, like you hate doing this. And if you're employed, maybe you're forced to do this and you just hate it. You need to get over to this quadrant over here where you're business owner, investor, and give that to other people to do, so that the only thing that you do is this stuff in the middle that is your area of expertise that you excel at, that you are so ridiculously good at because of your specialized knowledge and the work that you've put in to acquire expertise in that area. And then after you do that, you create an insane ability to create the most results here, so that you have the ability to completely ignore all this other crap that you don't like to do, that you're not happy with. And that is such a powerful, powerful concept. It's going to allow you to take this checklist and get stuff done by focusing on other people and other people's skills, and then just doing the stuff that you're killer at and focusing on your skills rather than the stuff that you're not good at. And that's why it's important, right, to like to-do lists. I hate to-do lists because what it does is it gives you this massive list of stuff to do, rather than saying and asking yourself, what's the one thing I could do that would have the same impact as all these things? If you can have one thing that's going to have the equivalent impact of all these things, and then maybe be able to delegate the rest of it out to a team or something. So maybe like a quick example of this mindset principle before we move on is like emails, right? Like emails for me, like, I don't know, I just get a whole lot of emails. So I'll have kind of like assistants, and they'll go through all that stuff, and they'll schedule appointments, and they'll get all the meetings done and the bookings and everything that needs to happen. And then if there's like really awesome stuff, you know, like it's cool, like if I subscribe to you know, a bunch of people in the finance space, and I love to read their emails all the time, but you have to separate. There's like a distinction between, you know, work and then research, right? So sometimes if they send out like really powerful resources, really powerful information tools, really powerful knowledge, and sometimes, you know, they'll share like, hey, you know, click here to check out this amazing resource. Like, that's awesome, I love that. But what I don't love is like, you know, the stuff that just is like from people I don't know, or from, you know, Google, or just these automated messages that are just crap, and it's just not the highest and best use of my time to go through that stuff. So that's why you bring on other people where maybe they are just like so excited. They love to check emails. That's their favorite thing in the whole world. And then that makes them super happy. They get to focus on that, and I get to focus on what I like to do. And we work together in this mastermind principle, and all of a sudden, everyone is better off because of it, because you're able to work on the stuff that you care about so ridiculously much, and just completely ignore the crap that you don't, while still understanding that there are other people that do like to do that, and that's what they'll do. Very powerful way to leverage other people's skills, other people's abilities, and absolutely crush it using this principle of a mastermind group. This is one paragraph here, and I'm going to put this pen down because this is really powerful. So please listen to this. The accumulation of great fortunes calls for power, and power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed, specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the person who accumulates the fortune. Guys, this is huge. This is showing you exactly how to make tons of bank without necessarily being the guy that has to do everything. So if this is you, you might only know 1, 2, maybe 3 things really well. And then you might need to do like this whole list of like 100,000 things has to get done for you to achieve your overarching long-term goal. So you delegate it out, and you have people all over that are actually able to do all these things. And they're amazing at them. And you're able to leverage them you're able to leverage the who's to create the necessary what's in your business. And that is so powerful, because now you get the value of all this specialized knowledge coming to you in terms of marketplace results. And because of that, you're able to create a tremendous amount of value and crush it based on everyone coming together under you, so that you can reap all these amazing rewards by leveraging the skills and powers of other people. And this is why, maybe if you're not going to start, maybe, your overarching long-term goal isn't to have this massive company or to have this huge impact in maybe some product or service that you render to the marketplace. Maybe it's just investing, right? Maybe it's just growing your wealth, creating, financial stability and security for yourself. Think of this same idea. I want you guys, remember back to that funnel, right? Think of how you can apply this to your long-term goals. So maybe if it's investing, instead of people over here, these are like, stocks. These are companies, right? So maybe these are like tech companies. And maybe these are, energy companies. And maybe these are startups. I don't know, tech companies, startups. Sure, yeah, like startups. Or maybe just you have different aspects of investments. So maybe if you're into green energy, you got green energy. If you're into industrials, you have industrials. If you're into shipping, you have shipping, airspace stocks. Tons of amazing industries, right? You have all these different industries. And in these different industries, there are hundreds, if not thousands, industries, right? So maybe you're investing in, you can invest in wood for all I care, right? It doesn't matter. You have all these different industries, and there are hundreds of the companies that have spent decades, hundreds of years creating, their company. Like GE, like that company's been around forever. And now, instead of having to go out there and actually create this company over here, you can just buy a little bit of their stock and own a small percentage of that company, and it's going to pay you dividends for years to come. And it's going to grow in value, and everything is going to come from that. It's going to be amazing. It's going to allow you to focus on just working or doing whatever you need to do to bring in capital, and then you're investing that capital into these guys, and over time they're going to pay you a bunch more money back, right? That's the point of these investments, is you're leveraging the work that other people do. You're leveraging the networks that other people have. You're leveraging the companies that have already existed in the marketplace through the stock market to take advantage of their growth and to reap the rewards of their growth without necessarily having to go out there and start the actual company, work at the company every day, actually manage the company, understand what happens with the company. Like, you just buy their stock and you are hands off. You don't freaking care what goes on. As long as you understand what's going on, maybe read that annual report once, and now you have an investment. It's going to pay you for the rest of your life. And that's the power of leveraging other people, leveraging their technologies, leveraging their companies, leveraging everything they have to create the maximum result for your personal and professional success. Huge. So powerful. And none of that comes from education, right? Like, they're not going to say, hey, did you graduate high school or did you graduate college when you open a brokerage account? Like, they don't freaking care. If you have money, you can buy the stock. It's that simple. You don't have to have an education. It's just, yeah. But get a financial education, right? So please know what you're doing before you go out and buy a bunch of stocks, because you don't want to get screwed over. So that's why, you just read 9 to noon. You'll be good. So, education, right. Okay, so there's one more story here. And this one story is actually really powerful. And it comes from the application of beginning education at beginning elementary, and then looking at applying that into actually, this guy specifically, his goal was to get a job. His overarching goal is to get this amazing job. So he goes to get this job, right? Before I get to that, I want to explain to you the principle behind it and the importance of education for most people. I mean, guys, not everyone's going to be Mark Zuckerberg and drop out of college and start the most amazing company in the whole wide world. And you got to understand, like, the reason Bill Gates drops out of Harvard is because he's so ridiculously focused on his overarching long-term goal. So with that, right, he's looking at the opportunity cost of his time in school versus the value of that time had he applied it to creating Microsoft and creating his company and growing and actually scaling and building that up to create revenues. So, it's not like, this is not education. Education is important, right? Like this is education, right? And so because of that, it's super, super important that like you get this background mentality. So that's what the story is going to do for you. So there was this Thomas Edison had like 3 months of schooling in his entire life, but he kept focusing on education, and he was never going to limit himself based on his history. Same thing with Ford. He had like basically no schooling, but they both, these guys do really, really well because they understand that once you get out of school, that's not an excuse to stop learning, right? So like you guys here, right? If you guys have graduated high school, graduated college, but you're still here, like that shows that there's no excuse to stop learning. This content is so powerful that it can change your freaking life no matter your age, even if you're out of school, right? Because today a minimum standard of formal education is necessary to get a good start. And once you have that, it's always a continued growth, a continued learning curve, continued, just amazing ways to develop yourself and create these results in the marketplace. So here's the deal. There are definitely exceptions, right? The guy who started Wendy's, Dave Thomas, he was, high school dropout. He goes out of high school and he says, look, all I want to do is achieve success and encourage people to actually continue their schooling. So he created Wendy's, right? He makes Wendy's after dropping out of high school. And he says, you know what? I think school is super important. And he goes back to high school 45 years later and gets his GED. So that he has, high school equivalent. And he was awarded this at a massive ceremony at his local schooling area. Because being a high school dropout always bothered him. It's like this social status, this idea that, here's the way I like to put it, right, is I'm going to draw this in light green and then green because it's important. You've got, your life here. And honestly, guys, like if you have an overarching goal and you're working towards it, like you can get anything you want out of the world. You can have anything that you desire. And that's what the point of this book is. So for me, like I'm going to live to 150 years old, right? So if I'm looking at my life from like 0 to 150, and then this is, midpoint is 75. So this is like 25-ish, right? Like 25, 50, 75, yeah. So like you've got this area of time right here from like 18-ish to like 23, 22, like 22. This is the area where most people, have like general education. You got high school, like primary school here, and then, a time period for college. And then this is why it's so important, to have those college savings plans, which we talk about in chapter 7 and 8 of 9 to Noon, so that you can actually financially enable your kids to go through college. And then once you have that ability, you're looking at this massive amount of time, right? This is a lot. And then just like a couple of extra years at the beginning can drastically increase your earning ability, drastically increase your specialized knowledge, drastically increase, your ability to create tremendous results in the marketplace. So you got to understand, like, there's a ton of time to apply that and to get the value out of it. So at the beginning, you can increase your specialized knowledge, and at the same time, you can increase your status, you can increase your marketplace positioning. Everything just, it's a very powerful tool to leverage, the quality education that you can have to grow yourself. So to each their own, right? There's a ton of things about that. And that's not really the point, but the point is like, he's pointing out how insane it was for him. Growing up, he had this book he wrote called Dave's Way after he succeeded with Wendy's so much. And I haven't read Dave's Way yet. If I have read it, I'll put the book review video below. That's something to do for sure. That's pretty cool. I don't know if it's really good. I'll let you guys know. If it's not really good, then I'll just let you know that hey, it's maybe only applicable to a couple people. So just check out that book review video below. So anyway, in many of his ways, he was talking to journalists and answering their questions about his advice and encouraging students to stay in school and succeed. And these journalists were very sharp. They were like, hey, dude, how come you're telling people to stay in school, but you never finished high school? Like, what's the deal? You're not doing what you said you were going to do. So that's kind of what pushed him over the edge to acquire his high school equivalency. And because he tells people to get all the education they can. And the fact that he got his diploma 45 years after dropping out shows that it's never too late to get that education. And that's kind of what he's passionate about, is inspiring people that drop out of school to go back to school and get their degree, which is super, super powerful. So here's the deal, right? He's thinking about how to apply this specialized knowledge, how to create it. And one way is through that education, right? So because of that, it's just a great way to start. But there are other ways too. So what I want to go through right now, and this is kind of like a little bonus, are actually the 5 ways to purchase knowledge. I'm going to say purchase knowledge. It's the 5 ways to specialize knowledge. And it comes from either, school, right? Learning from people, or learning from yourself, learning from the marketplace, leveraging other people. These are the kind of ways that you're going to want to get together to work towards that major purpose in your life and go towards a goal that you desire to help determine what you need. So super, super powerful ability here to create the dependable sources, create the growth that you desire. It all comes really from these ways to get in front of other people and grow with them. So first way is your own experiences, right? Your own education and experiences. All right, this is all you. This is what's inside your head. Okay, super, super important. Then you look at experience and education available through the cooperation of others. So education and experience with others, right? You're leveraging that outside that outside viewpoint, that outside mindset. All these amazing principles that you can learn from these other people that can be applied into whatever you do, right? Just having that second person there is so, so, so powerful, because 1 + 1 is 3. College or universities, right? Yeah, makes sense. Great freaking way to go for a lot of people. But then these last 2 are very, very powerful because they're accessible to everyone, yet very few people take advantage of them. So you being on this course is an example of somebody taking advantage of this, which is insane. This is so, so, so powerful. The fact that you freaking made it like this far in is awesome. That's amazing. Because there's some people and they'll watch like the first 10 minutes of this and they'll never get to this juicy meat at the end. Like I could have easily made 5 ways to specialize knowledge its own little segment in this lecture series, in this course. But I didn't want to make it its own module because I realized like this is like the extra bonus content that I want to give to the people that are dedicated to their futures, that are dedicated to their success, that are committed to achieving their overarching long-term goals so much that they'll go through this course. That's why this is something that you just can have massive success with. So let's get into it. 4, public libraries through books and periodicals, which can be found with all the knowledge organized by civilization. Books. Guys, books are insane. You guys have probably seen in the rest of this membership area, and obviously just me talking about all the books throughout these course videos, these modules. These guys, this is insane. You can have somebody's entire life. This is ridiculously powerful. Like people spend their entire life in a book. Like how awesome is that? You're able to leverage someone's entire existence, their entire being, and it all comes from these books. They're insane, guys. It's ridiculous how much knowledge you can get, and then how many principles you can adapt, and then down and down and down and down through that ladder as you condense what you're learning into application steps, into experience, and into wisdom. So, so, so powerful. So powerful. And then 5th, we have special training courses through evening classes and distance learning courses in particular, and now obviously online classes. So special courses. So like this, basically. This is really, really powerful because, you can do this wherever you are, whenever you need to. It's not like you have to like watch this video at, 9 o'clock and then you can't watch a video because, you know, you've got to be at work or you have a class or something. It does, I don't know. Or you're trading stocks, which is awesome, right? You can do this whenever you want, right? It's not like a college class or high school class where you have to be at school 8 hours a day, and it freaking sucks. You know, you do it at your own pace, you do whatever you want. Some people binge, some people don't binge. Then they'll go through it more slowly and actually apply it throughout the way. I see most success comes from the people that pause these videos, that take a break, that actually get out pen and paper, write down their long-term goals, go through the secret formula, and then also write down like some of the most important things they learned from this, and now they can apply them immediately once they see them, right? So instead of just going through it and taking mental note, they put the pen to the paper and write down how they can apply these individual principles from the training and use that to remember it in their head. 'Cause if you write it down, you remember it a lot better, right? So writing really equals memory. Writing equals memory. And that's really one of the most powerful ways to turn courses like this that maybe you watch once a year, maybe you watch once every month. I don't know. It's your time, use it as you want. It's your content, use it as you want. But if you're only going to go through it, you know, a couple times, you can create a much larger, long-lasting impact by writing down what you learn. And being able, you know, if you write it down, you're going to memorize it a lot better. Another really powerful idea here is to learn for two people. And when you learn for two people, what you do is you actually teach someone else something maybe very specific that you learned. So maybe you teach someone else the secret formula, and you teach someone else one of these concepts with knowledge and growth and learning. And when you teach other people, you learn for two people, right? Even if it's just like a friend that you're talking to, all of a sudden you start to grow internally, because you develop a much stronger sense of the content that you're consuming and the content that's around you. And if you can teach other people how to do it, then it automatically puts you in a position of authority for yourself and for them. And that's really powerful for increasing your self-confidence. Because if you can teach someone else something, then you should obviously be able to apply it in your own life. And you don't have to be like a massive expert just to teach a couple of these principles, a couple of these modules. You can just tell a friend, hey, hello, check this. I'm going to teach this one thing. And then be like, hey, to learn more, you know, check out your boy John Wooten, get his book 9 to Noon, and then, like, you know, get this course. That'd be pretty freaking sweet. It'd be amazing. It's my job to provide a ridiculous amount of value to you. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll be so pumped. You'll have so radically just this insane change in your life that if I'm lucky, you might tell 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, maybe a couple of your friends about this course, which would be awesome. I'd be really appreciate that. I don't know. I do a lot of work for this stuff. I hope that you guys appreciate that and you see the value here. So you organize it, put it into use practical plans. Knowledge has no value until you actually apply it at a worthy end. This is one reason why university degrees are not guarantees of successful careers, right? That idea that you just go to school, do well in school, get a job, you'll be successful, that crap, that really is not a guarantee of success. It's not a guarantee, you know. It's just you know, the general way, but it's kind of crazy. You got to create value. You have to figure out how to use specialized knowledge to create value. If you can contemplate taking additional schooling, determine the purpose for which you want to acquire the knowledge you're seeking, and then figure out if this particular sort of knowledge can be obtained from reliable sources. So instead of spending 4 freaking years learning how to code or something like that, go out there and see if you can just hire a coder. Like, hello, that's insane. That's so powerful. It gives you the ability to leverage other people. So instead of spending your time, which is your most valuable asset, you're able to go out and just hire people that have already spent their time. You can just use them or work with them so that you can create, you know, your project, right? And maybe you just plan out the project and you tell these guys, hey, I need you guys to just code this or work on this or program this or design this, like graphic design. It takes so long to become an amazing graphic designer. Just pay someone like $5 to do it for you. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna link below this video. There's some amazing freelancing resources available online, like Fire, Freelancer. I'm gonna have some review videos below, and go check this out. I think some of those links are special. You'll get like 20 bucks when you sign up. I don't know, we'll see. I'll let you know. But with these websites, what you do is it connects you with people that are just like in Romania, they're in Germany, they're in Europe, and they'll work for ridiculously low wages to do work for you on a case-by-case freelance basis. So if you want them to just like code something or design something, they'll do it for you. Like I've got an amazing art, amazing product development, course stuff, especially for some of the companies and all that stuff, for like $5 and it's awesome. It's really powerful. So these guys are so amazing. I'm gonna have that stuff below. If you're getting into a team-based dynamic or you're doing work where all of a sudden it's outside of your area of expertise, the best thing that you can do to create those results at the fastest pace possible, at the best quality possible, is to actually just find people that are good at it and hire them for very minimal pay. I'm telling you guys, check out these websites. You're gonna be so surprised at how cheap you can get work done. It's so powerful. It's amazing. So I'll have more information on that stuff below. It'll be awesome. I'm so excited for it. So got that done. That's awesome. Successful people never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their major overarching long-term purpose. Make a belief in your knowledge and acquire and realize, right, like you're always learning. Super important, right? And this is also that principle that, you know, university recruiters, they want to hire people in specialized fields because not all careers require degrees. Most of them are just based on the knowledge and the value that you bring to the marketplace. If you have that specialized knowledge and that specialized value, all of a sudden you're able to create tremendous cash influxes into your life based on, you know, maybe courses that you take in the evening. If you're taking this in the evening, maybe courses you watch on the weekend, if you're watching this on the weekend. It's the work that happens outside of the classroom that's going to create the biggest impact on your financial growth and development, which is so powerful. It's really amazing. And it all comes from, you know, your ability to have this advantage in the marketplace that comes from taking these courses on demand that enable you to create tremendous results. Just remember though, like there's a difference, right? So with normal school, right, you'll have, you know, your schoolhouse here and everyone's got their room. There's like a bunch of rooms everywhere, which is awesome. And then you're scheduled, right? So maybe you would go to class from like, I don't know, 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon, something like that. Maybe it's like 8 to 4. For me, it was like 7 to 3 for high school, and then now it's like it just depends on the day of the week and the semester. I don't know. It just depends on whatever you're doing, right? Maybe it's only a couple hours a day. Maybe you only have a couple classes. I don't know. But in school, you have a schedule, right? So because you have a schedule, there's a whole lot of things for you to do, right? So everything's planned out, everything's put together, and because of that, all of a sudden, everything's together, which means that you don't have to actually really think as much. You just get into the habit of going to your classes. You get into the habit of learning your specialized knowledge because there's this thing that just happens over and over. And that's really different when you decide that you're going to learn from home, right? You're going to use a course like this. You got to focus, you know, and if you go out and you start to read all these amazing books and resources that I've shared with you, you know, you've got to really dedicate time to yourself, and you have to understand your schedule. Because there's no one that's going to force you to read books, you know, it's just not going to happen. There's no one that's going to force you to watch this, it's just not going to happen. Maybe because you paid for it, you're incentivized to read it, you're incentivized to watch this. That's why physical books are so powerful, right? Because you pay cash money for it, you have a tangible thing that's like sitting in front of you all the time, and it makes you want to read it. That's why I just really prefer physical books over ebooks, because if I buy an ebook and I just kind of forget about it, it just sits on my phone. I'm never gonna freaking see it unless I open up the Kindle app. And but this book, like, it's sitting right in front of me, so like, of course I'm gonna read it, right? So you set up your schedule. This is why it's so important to plan out your day, right? So plan out your day the night before. I mean, this is why I put so much work into that daily journal, and having that hour by hour by hour planning series. Everything that comes from that, it's all based on this principle. If you can plan out your day the night before, like I planned out, this recording series, the night before. I planned this out last night, and now I'm taking action on it. I'm fulfilling that plan. I'm fulfilling that desire. And it's all in accordance with that overarching long-term goal, and using that as fuel to create a tremendous amount of output, right? So I have my own schedule, and you need to hold yourself accountable. You need to have self-discipline to make up, the wasted opportunity or knowledge that you would otherwise have. So you need to be able to focus and say, hey, look, I'm going to get this done. It's going to be in my schedule at this time period exactly. This is what's gonna happen. This is why it's gonna happen. This is when it's gonna happen. This is how it's gonna happen. And that's the insane power behind a daily journal. And then you hold yourself accountable at the end of the day by having that reflection, by having that period of growth where you say, hey, look, I either did it and I did what I said I was going to do, or I failed and I didn't do what I said I was going to do. My overarching goals for today were not achieved. And so that's why I made that daily journal. Tons of information about that in the general membership area. And I guess I'll have some more stuff about it below. That's a really powerful tool that will fundamentally shift every single piece of output you have in your life. It's insane. It's so powerful. Can't recommend that daily journal enough. It's crazy. It changed my life. Every single thing I've done before having that journal, it's really tough to remember. But now that I have that journal, it's all so clear. And it's all right there. It's insane. It's so powerful. It fundamentally shifted the way that I look at my past. And shifted the way that I focus on my present because of that. Because the present's the most important time period at all. And now I can use my past as a force push my present further towards that overarching long-term goal. I'm so happy with where I'm at right now, and it's all because of these reflections of gratitude that come from this daily journal. It's amazing. It's amazing. Definitely recommend check that out. So, for the majority of people, the solution to their problem is found when they acquire specialized knowledge. Many people are forced to change their occupations, which freaking sucks, because there's differences in the marketplace. And it's super important to always continue learning, always continue studying, because you don't want to be left in the dust. You don't want to be left, with an old mindset when the whole world's changing, right? This is happening right now with blockchain technology. You have a bunch of banks that are just refusing to adapt it. And because of that, it's the same thing with the internet, right? When the internet first came out, there were a ton of people that were like, I don't want a website. The internet's not going to last. I don't need to accept transactions online. I don't need an online presence. And those were the companies in the 1990s and the early 2000s that were fading away, and they lost everything, right? Because they didn't adapt this new technology and continue to educate themselves. And that's why it's so ridiculously important to make sure that no matter what you do, you're going out there and you're crushing it based almost entirely on your internal ability to succeed with yourself. Always grow, always continue. Being on this course, getting a copy 9 to noon, getting this book, getting all the other books that are here. That is such a powerful tool. You're ahead of so many people just by doing that. And all these amazing tools that you have are just going to create tremendous results in your life. So I really do commend you on doing that. That's awesome. You're amazing. Yeah. So, last thing comes up here. There's this guy. And there's this guy, and then there's one more guy. There was this huge economic downturn, and this guy was a salesman at a grocery store, and he lost his job because, for some strange reason, people fire salesmen in downturns, which is so freaking weird, because salesmen are the people that generate revenue for a company. But look, I'm not here to rant about that, okay? So he had bookkeeping experience, and he decided, look, I was working at this grocery store, and at this grocery store, it was pretty freaking nice. I liked it, but you know what? I really like accounting and bookkeeping, and that's where his specialty was. And so he goes out and he takes some nighttime classes, right? So classes to just catch up and figure out what the latest techniques are, the latest techniques for bookkeeping, the latest strategies, right? And he figures out all the amazing bookkeeping strategies in this course. And so he goes out and he says, okay, well, I'm going to start my own thing. So he gets like a mail delivery van, and he puts up, you know, his bookkeeping service, bookkeeping. And, I erased his van. And he makes like this little office inside of it, kind of like an on-the-go office. It's just like a little cubicle in the back of this mail van. And it's got wheels. And he just starts to work away, right? He's doing his stuff. He's got all his paper, all his materials, all his accounting supplies back here. And he goes place to place and just gets a fleet of these bookkeeping offices on vehicles, and he starts to make contracts with more than 100 small merchants to keep their books at a very nominal monthly fee. And all of a sudden, he's actually delivering the value of a major professional bookkeeping firm at a fraction of the cost. You know, he gets rid of all that cost for them, and he's delivering a tremendous service to them. He starts to grow it and grow it and grow it, and all of a sudden, he's making like 10 times more than he was making, 10 times more than his boss was making, all from this business, right? Business that started when he had to leave his job and focus on specialized knowledge, specialization. And that's really freaking powerful, because his entire life changed after that. He was making tons and tons. It was an amazing profitable service. He was able to help thousands of people who badly needed their service. And it all started, right? Please. Huge concept here. Started with an idea. And then he took action. And then he created a result. So here's your thing, right? Take this, pause it, write down freaking 100 things, 200 things. I'll tell you what, 90% of them are going to suck. I don't care. Write down 200 ideas. I don't care where these come from. 200 business ideas. Just off the top of your head. Just off things that you can do. Pause this video. Write down, you know, maybe 200 is a lot, 100. Set a number, a big number, minimum 20. Write down that many business ideas. And then, once you do that, 10x it, right? Just more. So I'll tell you what, one of the things you write down can be your next $1 million business. It all starts with this idea. And that's why I want you to overcome this challenge that so many people have, where they're unable to start communicating. They're unable to start. That's a really big problem for a lot of people. Unable to start. Because they think, oh, well, if I write something down, it's going to be so significant, so important. I'm going to have to stick with this business idea forever. Look, I don't want you guys to think that. I want you guys to overcome that boundary, okay? It doesn't freaking matter. You're at the beginning stages right now. Just keep writing down crap over and over, and understand that a lot of what you write is just going to make no sense. It's going to be stupid. But what will happen is really powerful. Your subconscious, once you start to get in the flow of creating, once you get to start in the flow of output, all of a sudden, you're going to have that one thing that's going to be really good, instead of focusing on how you can get the right thing at the beginning. I'll give you guys another example, and it really expresses this very well. There was this class of art students, and over here there was like 5 people, and over here there was another 5 people. These 5 people are green because they're freaking special. Okay, and the teacher split these guys up, and they said, hey, look, you guys are gonna have, you know, 2 or 3 months to do this art class, and I want you to make the best freaking pottery in the world. But for this group over here, I'm gonna judge you guys based on the quality of your work. The quality of your pottery. All right? Whoever makes, you know, the best one that looks amazing, like artistic, all that stuff, that's what you're going to be judged on. But for this group over here, actually, you know what? You're going to be judged on the quantity of pottery, right? Their output. You're going to be judged on literally nothing more than the weight of clay you use at the end of the class. So these guys, you know, they split up, and this group over here, they go and they go to the library, and they just start reading book after book after book after book about all this amazing fine pottery, fine art, how to be the most amazing potter in the world. They just read and read and read and read and read and read and read it. Now these guys over here, they're just a little bit different. They're getting based on how much the quantity that they produce. So they just freaking go over to the pottery studio and start making pots and start making vases and start. They just start. They start right away. They go and go and go and go and go and go, and they just keep creating. They keep creating. They keep creating. This is my amazing pottery drawing. I hope you guys like it. Maybe they make a freaking cup. I don't know. They make a cup. They keep creating. They keep creating. And they do this for like 3-4 months, however long the class was. And then at the end, in like the last week, what happens is these guys over here, they start, right? And they make like one thing, and that one thing is a complete and total culmination of all the education and all this crap that they had read over here. So they started to apply all this crap they read over here, and they started and they made one thing, and they made like their really pretty careful vase. The very nice piece of pottery. It was very high quality, according to them, right? And then at the same time, these guys go and, you know, the course is coming to an end, so they make one of their final pieces and they sort of start to like finish, right? So they had already started long ago. This was their start. And they had been practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. They made hundreds, thousands of vases, because remember, they were of pieces of pottery, whatever they were making, pots, pans, whatever. Because remember, they're getting judged based off the quantity, and because they're being judged based off the quantity, they're just putting out more and more, and they're getting in more and more experience, application, and practice. And so because of that, when they finish, they make their last thing, right? So they had already made their one thing. This is just their last thing. And their last thing was amazing. It was nice and graceful. What an amazing pot that is. Very good. And the teacher comes and she looks at these two groups of students and their work at the end. And what happens is really freaking interesting. Get this. The people whose sole job was to have quality, where they spent the entire time focusing on researching the best way to create the most quality possible. Their art freaking sucked. But the people who just did it and kept working on quantity over and over and practicing, their art was amazing. It was so good. You see what's happening here, guys? You can't focus on that quality. You can't focus on procrastination. You have to get out there, take freaking action, and do it, rather than all this education crap at the beginning, which is important, right? Like Hill says, you need a basic amount of education to start, and that makes sense. That's cool. But once you get that basic amount, once you get that minimum viable dose of whatever you need, do it, and you're going to be light years ahead. These guys are light years ahead of the people that just spent their time reading books. And the reason they're light years ahead of them is because they have months and months of experience. That experience is worth hundreds of times more than theoretical practice or physical, practice in any kind of practice. And that's why I made an audiobook for 9 to Noon, because I want to increase the speed at which you can get through the crap of learning and learning how to be good at it, so that you can go into actually doing it and creating that quantity that's going to have the massive impact on your life. It's going to have such a higher yield in return, that practicing, but able to get to the point where you're able to practice. These guys, they just had to freaking do it. They didn't have any teachers. So if they had a teacher maybe to help them learn at the beginning, they probably could have skipped 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of learning. That's, 4 weeks out of a 4-month program. I mean, that's a 25% gap in gain, and that's what I've been trying. That's the point with educational content like 9 to Noon, and with books and with courses and audio books that help you get through it faster. It's all based on this idea that you need to get out there and freaking do it. And once you start to do it, you're just going to create insane. I mean, these guys were like master potters at the end. They were amazing. This was really good. And it was all because they just freaking did it. So hey, really powerful concept here. Insane underlying principles. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. And he ended up selling this business later, and Oh, no, no, no. So the guy he was selling in the grocery store, right? He's keeping all these books. And what happened was, his employment problem, he kind of said, hey, dude, look, I just had to make it happen. And his problem actually turned into a solution, right? So getting fired was actually really, really, really good for him because it let him go and start this awesome, awesome business that he made. So always, like we talked about in the last series, right? Take that positive mindset, right? Positive mindset. With everything that happens, you always have to say, look, this is happening for a reason. It's going to be good. It's going to get me closer to my long-term goal. And because of that, you just don't argue with things. You don't freaking worry about it. You just be happy. And as soon as you're able to be happy with whatever happens in your life, all of a sudden something really, really powerful happens where positive energy starts to flow towards you. And wealth and abundance, they just start to accumulate because that stuff freaking loves a positive vibe. It loves it, man. Those vibrations will attract wealth so well. And it all comes from this internal ability to get out there and freaking crush it based on this idea that, he took it well and he started this insane business. And that was the power. Everything he did. Because thousands of people, right? All these guys needed this help. And the idea was born from a necessity, from his realization that this service needed to happen. And he crafted it in his imagination. He turned it into reality. And he created this amazing, amazing, amazing success, all based by creating market services that turned out to be so powerful. Very, very cool. Same thing happens, if you're finishing college, right? There was this guy, he just got out of college and, he's trying to get a job, right? So, it was difficult, right? So it was kind of tough for him. Difficult, it was like a competitive market, difficult job market. And so because of that, he kind of had, he really wanted a nice job. And so he started making a freaking book. He made a 50-page, beautifully typed, properly organized, informative book telling the story of his actual ability, right? So he told all of his skills, all of his schooling, all of his experience. He took all of this and he made a freaking book about himself. That's so cool. And in this book, he spent weeks and weeks and weeks of time also being at the library, right, to get this information, tons and tons of research about selling himself, right? So that he had, he was working with his mom, and they created this book, and in this book, he was selling himself to his future employer about how amazing he was. And he made this entire 50-page book about how awesome he was. And then he printed it, typed it up. He went over to this interview, right? Got everything he could. And he also went to his competitors. So he was looking at working at this one firm, and this one firm, super big, awesome. And they had a bunch of these competitors, right? So he went to these competitors in blue, and he started to learn about what they did and how they made money and what their strategies were. And he took all of that, and he took their business models, he gathered that information, and he put it in his book. He put it in his book so that it could be of a tremendous, great value by creating a plan for himself. So he made a plan for himself once he got hired. Here, right? So once he got hired here, he made a plan for what he was going to do, how he was going to apply the knowledge that he had gained from researching all the competitors. Guys, that's an insane value add. He's adding so much value to the proposition of hiring him above 99.999% of people that are not going to freaking research crap about competitors. They're not going to make a book about themselves and their skills and their experiences and everything amazing about them. It just doesn't happen for anybody except for this one guy who stood out from everyone because he went above and beyond and did all this amazing work because of his specialized knowledge, because of his passion, because he had this goal to get this job so much. This was his huge goal for him, and he put everything he freaking had into it. Doing things well is never trouble. The plan prepared by this guy's mom for the benefit of their son helped him get a job for which he applied, at the first interview at a salary fixed by himself. Guys, this is ridiculous. This is the biggest underlying principle. I'm going to write this in green because it's really, really important. And I'm going to take a screenshot now if you need to see this or whatever. Or maybe I could just erase. I'll just erase up here. I don't want to erase positive mindset, but you guys know. You got to have a positive mindset. There's this book. I read it. There's a book review below. This book changed like everything I do because and all the actions and impulses I take. And partially why I'm so ridiculously excited to share this with you and so energetic with everything I do. It's called Good to Great. There's going to be a book review below. In this book, there's so ridiculously much amazing crap. It's insane. It's all based on your ability to go from average to insane to great. In Good to Great, this is exactly what this kid did. He went from good, which would be most people applying, and then he went to great by doing all this work down here, getting all this stuff done. He created this insane value in the marketplace. And because of that, value creation equals cash money. Okay? The position did not require that this young man start at the bottom. And because of that, he began as a junior executive at an executive salary. Bam! Right? He's getting this massive promotion. He got this, because of all this action, once he landed the job, he got a huge initial promotion. You know why? Because he created this huge initial promotion. He created this plan, and it's amazing because management saw that, and they said, wow, this is awesome. He's got this amazing plan. Let's get him in a position of power. Let's get him in an executive place where he can actually take advantage of it, actually get it done, and that led him to go out there, get this huge initial promotion over every other applicant to that position because of the value he brought in, the reciprocity. I'm going to write this in really big green because it's super important. He created this insane level of necessary reciprocity. So because he delivered all this upfront value to his future employer, they gave back to him through this insane salary, this insane status position, this insane level of growth that would take people years and years to get into this executive position. He got it immediately so he could take action and apply all the amazing value-adding propositions he created for this employer. Why go through all this trouble? The planned presentation of this young man's application for a position clipped off no less than 10 years of time that would have been required to get where he started. He started at the bottom and worked his way up. And it all started, please get this because this is so important. He had a very condensed period of action. Right here, this is his life right here. He had this short period, about 5 weeks, that he spent in red, this period right here, 5 weeks, where he was putting in the work to create this plan, putting in the effort to make this book, getting everything done. And because of that very condensed period of time, because of that very short period of 5 weeks, all of a sudden, he was gaining all this time in orange. This time in orange is 10 freaking years. 10 years. The payoff of this 5 week of work was 10 years of promotion, 10 years of growth, all because he increased the value he brought to his employer / the marketplace. Right? Guys, this concept is so freaking ridiculously huge. It'll change your life if you can understand it. If you can bring more value to the marketplace by putting up a condensed amount of work in the beginning. Remember, he wasn't getting paid to make this book. He wasn't getting paid for these 5 weeks. This is a time where he was putting in his efforts, he was putting in his drive, he was putting in his grind. And because of that, because he put in the value up front, he reaped the rewards and he achieved his goal and he created a ton of value, got paid a bunch of bank. That's the insane power behind this lesson. Please, if you need to hear this again, listen to this part again. This part will change the way that you approach everything you do by going 150,000% in everything that you do and 10xing the results that you get from it. It's so, so, so powerful, and it all stems from putting forth that initial upfront investment in yourself. Excuse me. It's going to pay dividends for years and years and years and years to come. So powerful, so amazing. That's why it's so important that when I have all these books and all these resources below, that you put the time in, you put the money in, you invest in them, because those are the tools that are going to create this upfront amount of work right here. And because of that, it's going to save you years and years and years of your life. It's going to make so many results. And all those results will change everything that you do. It's insane. It's so powerful. That's why it's so important. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Yeah, just don't get into a rut. Don't try to start at the bottom. See if there's a way to work around it. There are always, always, always new rules. Figure out how to start at the top. Overcome those major objections that people have. And be able to lift your heads high enough to see the opportunity. See the opportunity that's above and ignore the bottom, right? Always see yourself at a higher position, and your mind will actualize it through the subconscious. Make sure that you form a daily habit, a daily routine that becomes so strong that you can't seize it. You can't stop having your success. You can't stop reading your secret formula, your long-term goal, your plan. It never stops. The education never stops. The growth never stops. And you will never see yourself. You'll always be 1 or 2 steps above the bottom. It's so important to start above there, because by doing so, you form a habit of looking around, observing how others get ahead, finding opportunity, and embracing it without hesitation. I'm going to say this one more time, and then we're going to be done, because this is so, so, so powerful. Form the habit of looking around, observing how others get ahead, seeing opportunity, and embracing it without hesitation. It's on page 90. This is right here on page 90. Highlight this. Write it down. Anything you need to do so that you can make a habit of observing others. I'm going to write it down for you, but I really want you to write this down for yourself. Observe others that are successful, model successful people. Observe how they get ahead. See opportunity. Guys, opportunity is the most powerful word you will ever read, ever see. Opportunity can change your life. And embrace it without hesitation. There is no room for hesitation. There's no room for a struggle. There is no room anywhere for you to take a break and stop worrying about it. You have to go 100,000% from day one. And the way you do that, the way you get the motivation to do that, the way that you get the underlying confidence to do that, is by following, obviously, the self-confidence tricks, obviously all the personal development self-confidence stuff that we just talked about in the last module. But more importantly, it's by creating your overarching long-term goal, by ridiculously passionately fulfilling your secret formula, and then sticking with your secret formula until you get it achieved by your deadline. It'll change your life. It's so, so, so powerful. Everything here is insane. Thank you guys so much. I hope you got a ton of value from this module. I'll see you in the next one. Have an awesome, awesome day. Thanks.